Hi, my name is Ellis. I'm going to accompany you on your way to a better understanding of using nonverbal communication in your daily life. Technology can be a great tool to make learning a more effective and a more efficient process. Here, you'll see the tree of knowledge, which will grow with every subject we touch. You'll learn about representational systems, eye accessing cues, emotions, body language, lie detection, and many other new things along the way. And you can always come back and browse the trees to refresh your memory. You can even add your own notes, pictures, or videos. Whenever you feel ready for a challenge, select the skills section of the application, and you'll be offered exercises that fit your knowledge and skills. Intelligent people indeed tend to see more, hear more, and feel more. This allows them to make better decisions and understand people and events in a very delicate way, so that you can recognize whether he actually agrees or disagrees with you, whether he feels comfortable or uncomfortable, or whether he's telling a truth or telling a lie. Calibration is the skill of detection of the inner processes of humans. All filtered information finally reaches our brain, where we see it and perceive it. Encoding of information happens unintentionally in 4 systems that are called representational systems or modalities. Representational systems are classified according to the sensory channel used to represent information. Visual modality is responsible for the processing of visual information. Auditory modality processes sound and voice tone. Kinesthetic modality takes care of sensual information like tactile sensation, internal sensations, taste, and smell. Auditory digital is the internal dialogue. All these representational systems are not only responsible for perceiving the world, but also for what is primarily important to us, for structuring the way our memory works. In other words, would you like to know what your primary representational system is? So, we learned that we encode all information received by means of 4 representational systems. When talking to people, a visual person usually chooses a distance to see the other person better. That's why kinesthetic people like to stand close to their conversation partners to feel them. Auditory-oriented prefer to choose a position and distance in a conversation to hear the partner well. That is why, while the people organized around the internal dialogue usually don't touch their conversation partners and stand relatively far away, they look at the partner's forehead or above the head. So, we've learned the typical behavior and appearance of people who use different representational systems. Hello, this lesson is about eye accessing cues. It has been known for a long time that the direction of a person's gaze is related to internal processes of perception and processing of various types of information. Further in this lecture, you will learn about various eye accessing patterns that can appear in the minority of people whose eye movements are differently wired and why it is so important to recognize them. Now, we have advanced to one of the most important and somewhat mysterious subjects: how to determine a stranger's preferred behavior strategy with the help of eye accessing cues. Once I had an interesting case. I convinced the person to sign an agreement when it seemed it was going nowhere. Knowledge of eye accessing cues has always helped me in all facets of life. So, what is happening in a person's head when he is making a decision? What is the strategy of the internal processes in a person at the decision point? To do or not to do? To buy or not to buy? To agree or not to agree? For a man to agree with me, I will make him a business offer within his decision-making strategy. In other words, I will give him a subconscious command to agree. And so we learned how to determine a person's decision-making strategy through eye movements. In the video, you can see examples of how the eye accessing cues reflect the decision-making process. After continuing to listen to the lecture, you will start to learn the new topic.